appeared invincible after he was re-elected president in 1936. He carried literally all but 2 states in the United States and had an unbelievable margin in the popular vote and, of course, in the electoral vote. But then in 2 years, he went to almost losing control of Congress and suffering major losses of seats in both houses. In the congressional election of 1938, the Democrats lost 72 seats in the House and 7 seats in the Senate, a major disaster, and was almost entirely Roosevelt's fault, all based on his arrogance coming off the 1936 election. After 36, Roosevelt turned his attention on the Supreme Court, which had ruled many of his programs unconstitutional. One after another, they said the National Recovery Act that tried to fight deflation, the Agricultural Adjustment Act that tried to bolster farm prices, the Commodities Credit Corporation to help farmers, and one after another, the Minimum Wage and Hours Act, the Labor Union Organizing Act, all of them were declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. And Roosevelt railed against the 9 old men who were the Supreme Court, who for the most part had been appointed by his predecessors. And he proposed packing the court by expanding its membership to 15, which would give him 6 appointments, which could shift the court to a more liberal basis. And even though he had overwhelming majorities in both houses of Congress, the Democratic Party rebelled and wouldn't go with him on this, and reversed him and killed the court-packing bill. As it happens, many of the offensive judges took the cue and retired, and he had enough liberal appointments anyway, and most of his programs were restored. After he tried to do that, he then launched a purge of the Democratic senators who had voted against him, and intervened in primaries throughout the country, largely in the South, to get pro-New Deal Democrats elected instead of the Southern reactionary Democrats who held those seats. And in all but one case, it backfired and exploded in his face. And the result of this contemptuous, arrogant attempt to control the Congress and to control the court, Roosevelt suffered dramatic losses in 1938. His reputation in history is restored, and he's remembered as a winner, because as World War II approached, people felt that we needed his leadership to get us through those years, that it wasn't time to swap horses in the middle of the stream, and that his approach in going after the Nazi and fascist regimes was good, and people largely approved of it, even though they hoped that he could keep us out of war. And then, of course, when he won his 3rd term in 1940 and his 4th term in 1944, the sins of 1938 were erased. But had he observed the 2-term tradition and not run for re-election in 1940, we would remember FDR these days as a loser. Thanks for watching.